Well, Starbucks says it is closing underperforming stores across North America as part of a $1 billion restructuring plan.
This is a neighborhood spot, so it's kind of sad that they're closing.
I'm surprised and disappointed.
Canada explodes as Starbucks shuts down production, and Mark Carney's having what looks like a full-blown economic meltdown over coffee. Apparently, a few latte losses are now a national crisis because nothing screams policy failure like an empty Frappuccino cup. Starbucks closures hit hard as employees were blindsided. Locals in towns like Kingsville lost their favorite hangout, and it's all just another sign that Canada's economy is running on empty.
On Saturday, plenty of customers here at this location on its final day, but the very next day, Sunday, the drapes pulled down, the place deserted, and the doors locked.
It's almost depressing to admit that everyone's favorite coffee stop is shutting its doors. Starbucks, the brand that built our daily routines, is now pulling the plug on hundreds of stores across North America. The company quietly confirmed a 1% shutdown, which might sound tiny until you realize it means 400 stores gone in an instant.
Starbucks closed hundreds of locations across North America over the weekend, including some in our city.
The first hit landed in Kingsville, Ontario, where a simple goodbye note appeared overnight like a final message from an old friend. By morning, customers showed up expecting their usual coffee fix but found locked doors, dark windows, and zero answers. The silence spoke louder than any press release. One of the world's biggest brands just ghosted the communities that built it.
In this economy, people are questioning if they want to spend $3 or $4 for a deluxe premium coffee.
Behind the polished statements and PR smiles, there's a deeper problem brewing. Starbucks didn't restructure out of choice. It was forced to after 6 straight quarters of falling sales. The official excuse blames underperforming locations, but the truth cuts closer to home. People just stopped buying into the illusion of affordable luxury. That $7 latte doesn't feel comforting anymore. It feels unnecessary when groceries cost a fortune and paychecks barely stretch.
Some of them found out because on the store hours online it said closed.
But during this round of cuts, 900 people are being laid off. Employees say they found out about the closure on Thursday, and Saturday was their last day.
And then there are the workers, blindsided and silenced. Over 900 non-retail employees lost their jobs, many finding out through schedule changes or vanished logins instead of official emails. Some got a mere 2 days' notice before being cut loose mid-shift.
Are shutting their doors, and guess what? Many employees found out last minute. Sometimes.
What's worse, they can't even speak up. Starbucks tied their severance to legal gag orders, 3 weeks' pay in exchange for quiet. On paper, it looks generous. In practice, it's hush money dressed up as support. The people who built the brand are now watching it crumble from the sidelines, unable to even tell their side of the story.
Starbucks says it's closing underperforming stores across North America as part of a $1 billion restructuring plan, and that unfortunately includes the Kingsville location. The store posted a letter on the door saying, "We've made the incredibly difficult decision to close this location by the end of the week."
The whole thing feels less like a business decision and more like a corporate retreat. Starbucks isn't collapsing, it's quietly disappearing, one darkened storefront at a time. The layoffs, the vague apologies, the overnight shutdowns all point to a company desperately trying to hold on to its image while the world around it moves on. For years, Starbucks stood for comfort, connection, and routine. Now it's serving something entirely different, cold reality, with no sugar on top.
Well, the Kingsville location and others across Ontario, Alberta, and BC are shutting their doors.
The shutdown wave hit hardest in Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia, where Starbucks wasn't just a coffee shop, but a social landmark. These were the places where people met, worked, and recharged before facing another day.
People are upset, and honestly, who can blame them? A neighborhood Starbucks that's part of the daily routine, part of the community, is gone overnight. Not just businesses, that's a slap in the face to loyal customers and hardworking staff who rely on it.
Now those once busy corners sit quiet, and it feels like more than just another business closing. Locals say it's like losing a heartbeat in the middle of their town. Starbucks didn't just sell caffeine, it sold connection, and with every shuttered store, a small part of that community life goes dark. The closures show a bigger truth that's hard to ignore. Comfort is slowly becoming a luxury most Canadians can't afford anymore.
This is the reality in a world where people are rethinking their spending habits. Do you really want to pay $4, $5? who knows, maybe even $8 for a cup of coffee that's, really fancy. Like, do you want to do that every day? In this economy, no.
The story doesn't end with empty coffee cups. It bleeds straight into the country's bigger economic breakdown. Wages haven't moved while prices keep climbing, and suddenly that morning coffee feels like guilt in a cup. Canadians are rethinking every purchase, cutting corners where they used to find small joys. A $5 coffee that once meant treat yourself now means you probably shouldn't.
People are tightening their belts and their wallets, and they're going,
The middle class, once the heartbeat of this brand, is running out of breathing room. The fall of Starbucks isn't just about business, it's a mirror reflecting how ordinary Canadians are being priced out of their own routines. When a coffee chain that thrives on comfort can't survive, it says everything about the kind of pressure people are living under.
But instead of taking responsibility, Carney and the rest of the Canadian government will probably blame everybody else, and these kind of closures are, they're happening everywhere, and it's clear why businesses are fleeing the pinch of bad policies and an economy that is working against them.
And then comes Mark Carney, turning what should have been a calm response into a political meltdown. Instead of owning his part in the financial storm, he pointed fingers at markets and demanded more government control, as if regulation could fix what bad policy broke.
That's a slap in the face to loyal customers and hardworking staff who rely on it.
His reaction wasn't leadership, it was damage control dressed up as confidence. Critics didn't hold back, calling his economic model a chokehold pretending to be stability. It's the same story every time: loud statements, no solutions, and a refusal to look in the mirror. Carney's outburst became the perfect symbol of Canada's leadership right now: defensive, disconnected, and running out of answers.
It's the political environment, the overregulation, the economic strain, the constraints of it all that are really pushing companies like Starbucks, certain store locations, into survival mode.
When you step back, it's all connected. The lost stores, the fading middle class, and the political denial all weave into one picture of a country losing its balance. Starbucks didn't start the crisis, but its retreat exposed how fragile things really are. What used to be a simple coffee run now feels like proof that the system's breaking down one latte at a time.
Carney might want to keep blaming the world or Trump, but he's missing the point. Trump, the focus is reducing burdensome regulations and red tape and putting America first, something that Carney and the rest of Canadian government would love to actually maybe implement for once, but they're not going to.
When Starbucks pulled the plug across Canada, people looked south and couldn't help but notice the difference. The US model kept moving, trimming costs, adapting fast, and keeping most of its stores afloat. It wasn't luck, it was less red tape. Canada, on the other hand, felt stuck in quicksand. Every move required forms, approvals, and more talk than action.
What happens? More shutdowns. Businesses aren't in the business of making bad choices for fun. They close stores when they can't make money. So before Carney continues his whining, maybe he should just look in the mirror for a minute and actually ask why Canada's economy is so broken in the first place.
The closures didn't just show a struggling coffee chain, they exposed how deeply bureaucracy can choke a country's ability to adapt. The US cut through challenges with leaner regulation and flexible business rules, while Canada drowned in process and policy. Starbucks didn't fall here because the coffee went cold. It fell because the system made it nearly impossible to keep the cup full. The shutdown became less about caffeine and more about proof. A country built on paperwork can't stay competitive when the economy needs speed.
I was a little bit surprised.
It's just so sad because we would go here all the time and the one on campus always has such a long line. So it's just such a sad thing to see.
And somewhere in the middle of this corporate chaos, Starbucks lost the one thing it was famous for: its identity. For years, it sold more than coffee. It sold a feeling. That cozy hum of espresso machines and quiet playlists was supposed to mean connection and calm. But now, ambience doesn't pay the bills when rent eats your paycheck. The idea of a $6 cup of peace just doesn't land the same in a world where people are counting coins for gas and groceries.
Fix things by tweaking a few in-store things. The issue is bigger than that. It's about the cost of living, inflation, and yes, the fact that you're dealing with policies that aren't conducive to growing businesses. Carney and the others, they can throw their tantrums all they want, but they're just missing the point.
The company's plan to redesign 1,000 stores sounds like innovation, but it feels like panic. a scramble to look relevant while the magic fades. With 18,000 stores still standing, Starbucks isn't dying, but it's drifting. It's too big to fail, yet too heavy to move fast. The brand that once defined premium experience now looks like it's trying to remember why anyone cared in the first place. Coffee has become just coffee again, stripped of all the meaning that once made it special.
No! No!
Then came the headlines, and the reaction hit like wildfire. News outlets from CTV in Canada to KTLA in California plastered empty cafes across screens. The sight of papered windows and stunned baristas became a symbol of something bigger than a business shakeup. It looked like a cultural collapse. 69 closures in Southern California alone gave the story global legs. Commentators called it corporate abandonment, accusing Starbucks of walking out on its workers and communities without a second thought.
Meanwhile, thirsty customers still looking for their coffee.
We're closed, sorry.
But the media frenzy also fed on the panic. Every closed sign turned into a headline, every dark store into proof that something fundamental was breaking down. What should have been a corporate restructuring became a national crisis conversation. Starbucks had accidentally sparked a bigger debate, one about whether the economy is still built to support everyday life. The closures blurred borders, uniting Canadians and Americans in the same uneasy question. If even Starbucks can't make it work, who can?